Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. On this edition, we're going to be talking about the running back position and the Saints' need to possibly find another running back. We're also going to be talking about some of the top stories that came out of minicamp over the 3 days minicamp took place. It was 100% participation, even though guys weren't on the field. Guys were in the locker room, which was a positive thing. I also want to take this moment to thank all the people that checked out the State of the Saints podcast and the brothers from the Saints Twitter podcast that came over, Ryan and Adam. Was a great show, great dialogue, and I enjoy having shows like that. I also want to give a special shout out to Maddie Hudak. We were supposed to have a show on Friday, but unfortunately she was a little bit under the weather. So, Maddie, if you're watching this, I hope that you're feeling much better, and we'll possibly get you back on the show sooner rather than later. But let's go ahead and talk about the running back position. As we all know, the New Orleans Saints had running back David Johnson in camp. David Johnson, I've talked about him a little bit on the show. As talked about how good he is, a talented guy. Had a little bit of bad luck over his career. He dislocated his wrist, made him miss the season. And I just felt like he never really got back to being that 2,000 all-purpose yard back he was in 2016, which got him the first team all-pro notch on his belt. I like him. I understand that, this is a business. The New Orleans Saints decided to go in a different direction. David Johnson was there for a tryout, and unfortunately they couldn't get it done. And this is according to David Johnson's Twitter. It says, unfortunate, we couldn't come to terms, but appreciate the Saints for the opportunity. Journey to be continued. So want to wish that brother luck, man. That's just the nature of the beast sometimes. It's just football is a business, and we enjoy it, but these guys have to get paid, and they want to get paid according to what they feel their worth actually is. So I'm pretty sure he's going to land on his feet. He's a quality back, and somebody's going to need his services, so he'll be snatched off the street pretty soon. I think one of the main reasons why the New Orleans Saints decided not to, pursue David Johnson or try to pursue him as aggressively as David Johnson feel they should have was because of the running back position and where they are at. I think the Saints are pretty confident at the guys that they have inside of the locker room. Alvin Kamara, we are all speculating that he's going to miss some time due to the fact of having a trial that's coming up in August for the situation that happened during Pro Bowl weekend. And you look at a guy like Mark Ingram, who is 31, going to be 32 years old by the end of the season. He's not that guy that can be able to carry the team, can be an every down back, even though I feel like he still has something to offer. You look at guys like Tony Jones Jr., looked really good in preseason, looked so good, in fact, the Saints felt like Latavius Murray was expendable. He ended up going to Baltimore. And then Tony Jones Jr., after 2 games, ended up being out of the lineup due to injuries. The more things change, the more they stay the same. There's some guys that we look at as far as, the running back position, guys like Abram Smith, Devon Azigbo in his second stint with the New Orleans Saints, and we expect for those guys to pick up the slack, but that doesn't always work that way. It's best at times like this when you need a quality running back for you to go out and try to get yourself a seasoned veteran, a guy that's not afraid of the moment, guys that it won't take them so much time to pick up blitz pickups and everything like that. You got to make sure that you know your assignments, because if you don't, you can find yourself on the bench because you got your quarterback hurt. So I think teams look for these running backs, and they look for veterans, guys that have been in the league for quite some time. According to some news outlets, one guy that's out there right now that a lot of the contributors, writers feel would be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints would be Kenyan Drake. Kenyan Drake was a third-round pick out of Alabama a couple of years ago. I'm pretty sure some of you are very familiar with Kenyan Drake, especially if you follow SEC football, because you've seen him play quite a bit against the LSU Tigers. Kenyan Drake is one of those guys that has the same similar skill set of Alvin Kamara. He can run in between the tackles and catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's extremely elusive. He was that guy that was that change of pace back at the University of Alabama when they had Josh Jacobs, right? It was him and Josh Jacobs basically carrying the load, and he was the guy that was catching that ball out of the backfield and going yard with it. I think that he would be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints. I think that he's a solid guy, and I also think that he is one of those guys that can do just enough in order for you to, be able to make that transition going back to Alvin Kamara once everything gets settled, no matter how many games he misses. And if you hope, if it's unfortunate, I should say, if Alvin Kamara has to miss some games, you hope that it happens at the beginning of the season versus towards the end of the season. But Kenyan Drake would be a good substitute. I'm a real big advocate for making a trade. I also seen a report out there saying that Kareem Hunt will also be another guy that can come in. He's a guy that's looking for a new contract with the Cleveland Browns. We know that he was on a trajectory to be one of those top running backs in the league. Back in 2017, when the season first started, everybody thought Kareem Hunt was going to be Rookie of the Year until Alvin Kamara took off and he got that title of Offensive Rookie of the Year. Kareem Hunt would still be playing for the Kansas City Chiefs if he didn't lie about the situation about the assault. When they found out it was on camera and the Kansas City Chiefs organization saw it, they found out that he lied to them. They ended up cutting him. But he's a young guy. He's only 26 years old. And him sharing the backfield with Nick Chubb, I think that is extremely helpful to him. Nick Chubb is the guy out there in Cleveland that's getting the majority of the snaps. Kareem Hunt is the guy that's the change of pace back. I think in the Saints offense, you can see Kareem Hunt really spread his wings, but I don't think that's really going to happen. Kareem Hunt, to me, has everything it takes to be a top running back in the league. I don't think that you just stop being good just because you end up getting traded. I think it has a lot to do with the offensive scheme and teams' ability to be able to use a guy to their full advantage. And I just think that the way that the Cleveland Browns run on Kevin Stefanski, who is offensive mind in his own right for his work that he did with the Minnesota Vikings, but there's a huge difference between Kevin Stefanski and a guy like Pete Carmichael or even Andy Reid. There's a difference, right? These guys know how to utilize these guys' strengths and use them to their advantage. A guy like Kevin Stefanski, to me, knows offense, but it's pretty vanilla. I don't really see too much offensive innovation. You might see a triple reverse where you've seen Jarvis Landry throw the ball down the field, Odell, or vice versa. But it's pretty much a team that looks, to run the football, go for those short and intermediate routes, maybe take a shot over the top, but nothing that I just look at when it comes to like a Sean McVay or, once again, an Andy Reid. So getting a guy like Kareem Hunt in the Saints offense would be great, but I just think that he's looking for a contract, and I think he's looking for a team that's a good fit. Not only help him to continue to be the Kareem Hunt he once was before he was sharing the backfield with Nick Chubb, but also be able to give him some of that Skrilla, because, at the age of 26, this might be your last big payday as a running back, unless you're like one of those top elite running backs like a Adrian Peterson was, like a Derrick Henry is, somebody like that that's probably going to get more than one big payday based on their skill set, their abilities, and their all-pro, techniques. So there are some guys out there. I'm an advocate for a veteran running back. That's who I'm advocating. No disrespect to any of these young guys. I'm pretty sure they'll do fine. I'm pretty sure if their number get called, they'll make some plays. But I'm just talking about consistency. It's more to the running back position than running in between the tackles, lowering your shoulder and knocking a guy over. There's some nuances that you look for in a running back, especially if you're a quarterback, all right, because you don't want to get your head knocked off. And some of these rookies out here, they need some experience under their belt before they really start to take over and be the guy. But I want to thank everybody for being here right now. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. 80 people watching this right now. Thank y'all so much. I ask that you hit the like button if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast and everything that we have to offer here. Just go ahead and hit that like button. I would really appreciate that. But we're going to go to the comments and the questions. And once again, thank y'all for chiming in. I'm going to start with Millie. Millie says a Zigbo just wasn't it. Reason why he got cut early. Are we talking about this year or last year? Because I'm not sure if Devon Zigbo got cut or not. If anybody knows that, I'm actually looking at that right now before I answer this question, because upon the making of this show, he hasn't been cut. Here's the thing. Devon Zigbo, if we're talking about him last year or a couple of years back when he came to the New Orleans Saints out of the University of Nebraska as an undrafted rookie, Devon Zigbo was playing really well. Okay, he was playing really, really well. But the problem was the New Orleans Saints already had a decent backfield. They already knew who the guys were going to be. They knew who they had on deck. And it wasn't so much about him not getting the job done. This is just my opinion. Millie, you're entitled to yours. But I just think that it was just a crowded running back room and they couldn't find a place for him, because as soon as the New Orleans Saints decided to let him go, he got picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars and he played in a few games. And, I just look at him as that guy that can possibly be able to do something, because he really played well in those games where he was running the football. He had good pad level. I didn't know that much about it as far as his pass protection. I would hope that you're going into your third season, you learned a little bit along the way about blitz pickup. But if I was one of those guys, as far as like the pecking order, and I'm not going out here to try to trade for anybody, I will put Devon Zigbo in that rotation. I mean, Tony Jones Jr., yeah, like has those bright spots, but that old saying, he's hell when he's well, but he's sick all the time, right? So you got to be able to be available for your team, right? So you got to take that into account. I'm a fan of Devon Zigbo. I watched him at Nebraska, and I watched him, as he tried to make the team for the New Orleans Saints. And I knew if he didn't end up with the Saints, he was going to end up somewhere, and he did. So I think there's a place in the National Football League for Devon Zigbo. I just think that we have to maybe sometimes take a step back and realize that not all guys are going to be Christian McCaffrey. Not everybody's going to be Kamara. Not everybody is going to be Derrick Henry. There are guys that are solid running backs that can be a good change of pace. When the starting running back needs a breather, he comes in and be able to be productive. It's okay for you not to be an elite running back. It's okay for you not to be an all-pro. There's still places for guys, okay? I think that sometimes we want to replace guys and we want to replace them with superstars, right? And if a guy doesn't have that superstar ability, we just think that, they're just a waste of our time. I just think that there's places for guys, right? You have your elite wide receivers, for example, right? You got your guys that give you those 5-6 catches, maybe even 8 to 10, right? Get you over the 100+ yards. And then there's that guy out there that might give you 2 or 3 catches for about 33 yards. But those are the 33 yards that mattered in crucial parts of the game. There's always a place for guys that are role players, right? And I think that we need to understand that. Not everybody can't be the biggest star in the league, but there's still a place for those guys to be there. Mario, thank you very much for chiming in. Says to that $50 million, Taysom Hill is taking up a roster spot. Jules, look, I look. It's been a few shows where I actually seen you chime in on Taysom Hill. Once again, you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm not here to change your mind. But a lot of Taysom Hill's deal is a little bit of a phantom deal, and a lot of the perks inside of that deal are more like prove it to me deal, right? We got you playing this position right here, but you got to be able to have these many yards. You got to be this productive. So it looks like a big mammoth contract, but in reality, it's not. There are incentives inside that contract. To me, I don't feel like he's going to be able to capture. But I don't think that Taysom Hill is the issue, okay? Because the Saints were still able to go out here and get quality players, and Taysom Hill still had that contract. So I think that sometimes we look at guys and we look at their contracts, and but a lot of the money is basically laced in incentives. It's not, it's the guaranteed money. How much guaranteed money did he get? If he getting $50 million, I guarantee you he's not a guaranteed $50 million. Okay. The only one that's doing highway robbery like that, no disrespect to the brother, but it's Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins has a guaranteed contract. But I mean, is he playing guaranteed type play? Not really. I mean, solid. I mean, look at Kirk Cousins' record, right? I mean, his average is what you get. He has the same amount of wins as losses. I mean, you don't get any more mediocre than that. But I just think that we have to get away from looking at what the deal and what they actually pose on network television, because that's not always the case. They know that we're not going to go out here and be like, the lawyers and read the fine print. We just look at it and we say, oh, he's making $50 million. Man, can y'all believe this at my local barbershop? Can you believe this while I'm out here hooping or playing football or taking part of activities when I'm with my guys or with my friends or my girls who like football, right? So I'm not buying that. The Saints still were able to get some things done without, Taysom Hill's contract being a big deal, and it is really not, Jules. I encourage you to check out his contract if you have time and see what that contract is, and you'll see it's not even worth the headache. Who that TJ and who that Nation? Natasha, thank you very much for being here. Whoa, Kareem Hunt. Yeah, that would be a good signing for the Saints. I mean, I'm not going to look. Old Saints, I would say no. New Saints, I have no idea. I just know that this team has been super aggressive, trying to find guys that they know that can play, right? That they know can be able to be productive. So I'm not going to say that's not a possibility, especially what we've seen this offseason. I'm going to back up and be like, okay, the Saints have proven that they're not the Saints that we are normally seeing in all seasons past, right? You might have like one or two guys that we've seen may recognize, but not to this extent. So the Saints, I think that they are really trying to put together a championship team. So I'm not going to say, I'm going to just say never. Hunt costs too much. We already paying top dollar for a running back. Yeah, I already mentioned that. I mentioned that, more than likely they won't be able to do it. Or, I'm saying they might not consider that based on the fact that he wants a huge deal. But some people might say, well, out of sight, out of mind. We know Kareem Hunt is talented, but when was the last time he took over a game? When the last time he took the league by storm? When the last time we was having conversations about running backs and his name fell into the conversation? Most times when you're talking about the Cleveland Browns, you're talking more about Nick Chubb, then you're talking about Kareem Hunt, right? So he's not even, according to some NFL circles, he's not even the best running back on his team. So the Saints could possibly use that as leverage and maybe bring him in as almost like a, on a prove it type thing to get your money later on, kind of what Jarvis Landry is on, on a 1-year deal. You go out here, you be productive, and then you go into free agency and set yourself up for a bigger payday. So maybe that can be the case. Maybe the Saints know that they won't pay him, but at the same time, you're missing Alvin for X amount of games. We need the same type of production Alvin would bring to the table. Kareem Hunt shown in the past that he can actually be that guy, and maybe use it as a prove it deal. Because once again, out of sight, out of mind. Kareem Hunt is talented, but he hasn't been in that top 10 category of running backs when we're having these conversations probably since 2018. So we got to take that in mind, man. And teams will definitely use that to their advantage when it comes to contract negotiations. Hopefully Lamar Jackson is watching the show. I don't have any advice for him. Look, Lamar Jackson to me is one of those guys that the NFL is not ready for. And that's the reason why they're thinking about paying this dude. It's just what it is. He's extremely talented, but the question is, can you build a team around him? And also, teams want to win. Teams want to win. And one thing that is very intriguing to a free agent that's top notch is who he's playing with, right? We talked about last year with Odell Beckham Jr. and we were upset that he didn't come to New Orleans. We felt like he let the city down. It was his hometown. They needed him. He wasn't there for him. But let's just be serious about this. The man probably would have came to New Orleans if Jameis Winston was here. I mean, Trevor Siemian and Ian Book being your quarterback, I don't know, man. That's not very appealing, especially playing in Los Angeles with a guy that's known for slinging that rock like a Matthew Stafford and also being able to be around some star all pros like Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, guys that can get you stops, to get you the ball backs for you to make plays, and not to mention you're on the opposite side of a guy that is extremely productive in Cooper Kupp. So, players want to go to a team where they can actually exercise and show their abilities. And there's a lot of people or players, I keep on saying a lot of people, but a lot of players out there that may be looking the other way away from Baltimore because of Lamar Jackson. And I know this may sound crazy to some folks because people are like, man, this guy's a former MVP. Oh man, you know what I'm saying? He's star-studded, man. He's the second coming of Michael Vick, all these different things, which is true. He has superstar ability and he is uber talented. But one thing that a lot of people may shy away from is the fact that he is a run quarterback. He is a guy that's going to get outside the pocket, try to make people miss. And by doing this, it's taken away from targets that can possibly get these people paid, right? I guarantee you, Hollywood Brown may love Lamar Jackson. He may love him, but I guarantee you he's happier going to Arizona, playing with Kyler Murray, a guy he played with in college that he knows that's going to throw him the football when he goes deep, versus Lamar Jackson is probably when a play breaks down, when it's more fun, and when Hollywood is breaking off his route, that's when he's getting those big plays. You know, that can turn guys away from being there. And I think that's what Baltimore is looking at. It's not the fact that they don't think he's talented. It's not the fact that they don't feel like they can't win with him. It's the fact that they feel like, can they build a team around him, and then being able to add some free agents that may want to come here and be able to help that offense. Because right now, you only have Rashad Bateman, to be honest with you, a guy, you know what I'm saying, that's been there since last year, and you got a couple more young guys that's been there. But it's not to a point where I just feel like one of these superstars like Odell that's out here right now that's working his way back to the field would be interested. And the organization is looking at that, and I feel like that's the reason why they're hesitant about paying them. I would prefer Sue. Look, I understand why people like Ndamukong Suh, but I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of Ndamukong Suh. I look at it this way, man. I have a lot of respect for guys that are passionate and love the game of football. And I don't have a lot of respect for individuals that don't give their all on every play. I don't have respect for guys that I just feel like just out there to just be out there because they're good at something. I don't feel bad about saying this. Ndamukong Suh is the football version of Anthony Davis. That's who he is to me. He's an extremely talented guy. He can do everything, but at the same time, you question his toughness. You question, I'm not going to say toughness, but you question like his motives. Like does he really love what he's doing? Like, I don't think Ndamukong Suh really loves football the way I look at a guy like Aaron Donald. Like, I look at Aaron Donald is a beast. And if you watched Ndamukong Suh in college at Nebraska, the dude was unfreaking stoppable. And you would think like when he came into the league, it would be the same way. When you look at Aaron Donald, right? He's the undisputed best interior lineman in the game. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The dude is basically unstoppable. then you think about other, you know what I'm saying? Who else do you think about? Like, I don't think about Ndamukong Suh as number 2. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I think about other guys, you know, that have played in the league. Fletcher Cox, I put him next. You know, like I don't look at Ndamukong Suh as, you know what I'm saying, when I look at the same way as Aaron Donald. And the question to me is why? Like, why isn't he that way? He's not. You know, like it's if you peel everything back and look at production, he's basically living now off his name and his potential. It's kind of like Jadeveon Clowney to me, right? Jadeveon Clowney continuously gets opportunities, not because of, you know, him being just this brute force, but it's because he's Jadeveon Clowney. And everybody's still looking at that big hit that he put on Denard Robinson when they played Michigan when he was at South Carolina. And Ndamukong Suh kind of fits that same mold. Will Ndamukong Suh like be able to stuff the run? Yes. But I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan of him. I just think that he's a football mercenary. I think he will set, like, at this particular point, if it came down to the Saints and the Jets, I think he'll go to the Jets if the Jets paid him more money. You know, I think he's always been like that. I think he's good at football, and he knows he's good at football. He's like, man, I'm gonna make some money. I can make some money out of this. And now that he has a Super Bowl championship, you know, now you can go any way you want to. Like, you can go out here and suffer with the Jets. You know what I'm saying, for X amount of dollars, because now you're in your 30s and you know you got to be looking at your football mortality. You know what I'm saying, immortality. You got to be looking at that. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not a fan of football mercenaries. I want to see guys that want to win, and you know what I'm saying, like, winning is what the only thing that matters. Like, yeah, of course, money, you know what I'm saying, that's important, but money is the thing that matters to me. I mean production, not just money. You know what I'm saying? Money can't be the only thing that matters to you, I should say. Brian is not going to be traded. They said it. Or it said Saquon. Yeah. Yeah, you're not getting rid of Saquon. Saquon, yeah, he had a little bit of bad luck in the past, but he's such a great guy and he's a great leader. I mean, I don't see them getting rid of him. If you're a Ravens fan, all love, but take it over to the team, keep it clean. This who that talk. And nah, man. I mean, we talk about anything here. You know, I'm not gonna tell somebody to go away. You know, if they want to talk about the Ravens, that's fine. Anybody ever another football question, I answer that. That's why you gotta stay alert, Professor. You never know what somebody gonna ask you. You know, I mean, I look, I love the Saints, but I make sure that I know about what's going on with other teams as well, because I mean, got to know what's happening in the league, man. You got to know what's going on, especially since the Saints actually play the Ravens this year. So gotta be knowing what's going on in the moves they trying to make, because the Saints are going to have to play the Ravens on, I want to say, Monday Night Football, and hopefully they want to get the win. Should the Saints pick up a running back, M. Alexander from the Vikings, if AK is suspended? Look, I don't know. I think they need to pick up a running back. I think they need to go into training camp, see what they have there. You know, if somebody stands out, then maybe you can put them out there or whatever. But I'm just not sold on a rookie like just being able to do every single thing. And no disrespect to Mark Ingram, but Mark Ingram has been dealing with injuries over the last few years, right? And you have to take that into account. And you got to know, if Mark was to go down, if AK is not there, can another guy step in and give you some level of production? Because it would be a recipe for disaster if it's not. Like, we can't just expect, and I hope that people aren't expecting Jameis Winston just to be throwing the ball 35, 40 times a game, because that's not a good thing. All right. I think that's one of the things that got him in a lot of trouble in Tampa. I think that's the main reason why Tampa was not successful, is because they didn't have a balanced attack. And when you have a guy that's a little bit of a gunslinger like Jameis is, you have to make sure that you have a balanced attack that's around him, because if guys start to get hurt, and it's no fault of Jameis, most of the leaders do, they feel like they got to put the team on their back and it's up to me. All right. So you have to always kind of reinforce things with Jameis, like, man, you're not alone. Look, you ain't got to do it by yourself. So you got to continue to reinforce that. And how you do that is to make sure that you plan for every particular scenario. As tedious and as frustrating as some things were with Sean Payton, he was tedious. You know what I'm saying, and meticulous with some of the things that he did, and it was probably for the better. Like this man would go outside on the field, have a weatherman talking about wind. You know what I'm saying, talking about cleats, talking about you know what I'm saying, like just all different type of things, different type of scenarios he was prepared for, and in some of those cases, it actually helped the Saints be able to get that victory. So you have to understand that you might be dealing with a situation, even if it does not occur. It's better to be prepared than to go out here and not be prepared and get the backlash of that. So I think they definitely need to try to get themselves a veteran and not just count on some of those young guys to just come in and just think that they just gonna be everything you want them to be, because I don't think so. Because before he renewed his contract, I was hoping Saquon Barkley would end up in New Orleans. I would like to see who in the playoff could stop three wides and AK and Super Bowl split the backfield. Or I guess Saquon, AK and Saquon can split the backfield. Yeah, I mean, that would be good. I mean, I mentioned that before. I said, what if they can get Saquon Barkley? I would like it, you know. And like I said, I know this guy had injuries in the past, but I mean, he's extremely talented when he's available. So, and then on top of that, I just think that being that every down guy in New York kind of takes its toll on him. I just think that you have to have a balance, and the way that the Saints run offensively, I think that you'll be able to preserve Saquon. And I just think that some of those games where, deep into a game where normally he'll have about 25, 30 carries for New York, he won't have those many, and he'll be extremely productive going into the third and the fourth quarter when the Saints really need to wear down the defense in order for them to get victory. So, but I mean, I'm happy for him. I think that New York is making the right choice. I just think they need to add another guy alongside him and be able to split those carries. And I think he'll be more productive that way. I'm gonna stroll down a little bit, but before I do, I want to say thank you all for checking out the podcast and let everyone know that the show is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Manscaped.com is the official sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. Use the promo code State of Saints. That's State of Saints. You will save 20% off of your purchase. Okay. So once again, manscaped.com. Use the promo code State of Saints. And it doesn't matter if you spend $100 or $10. Use that promo code. You'll save 20% off. Keen Arthur says, TJ, there's speculation that the Saints will trade a fifth-round pick for Kenyan Drake. Your thoughts? Also, did you see CeeDee's interview? He called out the media for their bias against him and the Saints. Yeah, Keen Arthur, I seen that. I've actually posted that. I actually posted that on State of the Saints podcast Facebook page, which is available right now. I just encourage everybody to check it out. If you have not followed the page already, please do. Yeah, I seen that. I don't have a problem with Kenyan Drake. I think that Kenyan Drake is extremely talented. I think that he's a guy that can carry the load. He's always been good everywhere he went. I don't know why teams just don't get this guy an opportunity. I never forget when he was traded from the Dolphins to the Arizona Cardinals in the first game, man, he had almost 200 yards of total offense. That's the kind of production that I feel like teams should be looking for. I mean, honestly, and what made it even more impressive, the guy, I think he got traded on a Wednesday and he played on a Sunday and put up that type of production, which tells you the type of player that he is. So if you have to give up a fifth-round pick for him, why not? Okay, everything that the Saints have been doing this offseason has told me, and I'm pretty sure it's telling you, that they're in win now mode. So you're trying to do everything that you can to win. You're trying to dot all the I's and you're trying to cross all the T's, okay? And you shouldn't leave no stone left unturned, and you should never think about, oh, nah, this couldn't happen to us. You should be able to navigate and think about every particular scenario and be able to fill in case something was to happen. I think that the Saints have done this and are doing this at several positions of need. So why not do it at the running back position? Regardless to how this AK thing pans out, rather he's out for 2 games, rather he's out for 4 games, rather he's out for 10. You want to make sure that you have some type of contingency plan, a backup plan that if something was to happen to AK, that there's somebody that can come in, and they're not going to give you the same type of production unless you go out here and make a monster blockbuster trade for Derrick Henry or something. But like for somebody that's going to be able to, hold down the fort. You know what I'm saying? Like, watch the wall. You know what I'm saying? Be a part of the night watch until Jon Snow come back. For all my for all my people out there that may be fans of Game of Thrones. Okay, look, we just need somebody on the night watch. You know what I'm saying? To watch the wall at night. You know what I'm saying? Till Jon Snow come back. You know what I'm saying? Till the Beast come back. Right. So let's just make sure that we do that. You got to have a plan in place. Dylan says, I think they should just sign Sue to a 1 year, $6 million plan and acquire 1 year, $4 million and just say our defense and wide receivers will carry when Kamara is out. Plus, it ain't like Ingram and Tony won't have 1 or 2 good games. Yeah, Dylan, look, it's easy for you to say that, Dylan, but man, you can't just be throwing, man, we're gonna give you 1 year, $6 million, like these dudes straight slaw or something. You know what I'm saying? Like they gotta agree to these terms, and you don't want to like disrespect these dudes to that particular point. I think you have to like value their experience. You got to value their playmaking ability, and you gotta, they got agents, man, that make sure that these guys get top dollar. And as Ndamukong Suh going into his late 30s, there's still a team out there that'll give him more money than a 1 year, $6 million contract. I can tell you that right now. Okay, there's some teams out there that are desperate that will just sign him on the back of he's a former Super Bowl champion and his name is Ndamukong Suh. Seriously. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get a little bit more money than that. As far as Quan Alexander, I just think that this is one of those situations where his injury-plagued career is really the reason why he's still out there on the street. We know Quan Alexander is explosive. We know that he's talented, but there are teams out there that are kind of reluctant to give him a contract because of his injury history. I mean, every year he's been with the New Orleans Saints, we had to wait on him to come in because he was injured. You know what I'm saying? Or when he came in, we end up losing him. Like he ended up tearing his Achilles in the game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And, he was playing really well. Then, at the beginning of the last season, he missed like 5 games with an elbow injury. So I think teams are looking at that kind of stuff and they're like, I don't know. But the good news is as long as he's out there, there's still a chance that the New Orleans Saints will sign him back. Unless like one of these other linebackers step up and they feel like they can give the same level of production as Quan. But if you notice, Quan production or snaps started to dwindle as Pete Warner got more familiar with the playbook. So could be the reason why we haven't seen Quan in the Saints uniform this offseason, because the Saints may be expecting Pete Warner to have a monster year. Is there going to re-sign Quan Alexander? What are they doing? I just think that they're trying to see, and maybe there's some production that's going on or some guys that are making some plays that they feel comfortable with. A lot of things going behind the scenes, folks, that we don't know about. And the guys that you may seen last year, they may not been as productive. You have to understand these guys start to get a little bit bigger. They start to get a little bit more faster. They start to get more in tune with the playbook. And they probably be able to, react more so than think. When you have young players, they're just thinking about what the playbook is saying. You know what I'm saying? They're playing, they're playing with the playbook in mind. But probably towards the second and third year, that's when guys start to play free because they know exactly where they need to be. They know exactly what they're doing. They know what the other teammate is thinking before they do it, and they start to like click. So this could be one of those cases. Brian says, do you think it's fair at the quarterback for Cleveland Browns didn't get suspended yet? He did worse than what Alvin Kamara did. The guy was torturing him in the elevator. He was just defending himself. Brian, look, I'm gonna be real with you. I seen the footage. Dude one torturing Alvin Kamara. Okay, I feel like it was the other way around with that. But here's the thing. You want to know the difference? I'm gonna tell you the difference. The difference is transparency. People want to pretend like transparency and actually seeing things visually does not matter. It does, right? As crazy and as insane and as sad as it depends on how you look at it with the whole Deshaun Watson situation. At this particular time, it is still he said versus what she said. He said, she said. That's what it is, right? And it's you rather over here or over there, right? When you have definitive evidence, right? When it's undisputed, when you can look at a camera and see Ray Rice slap his girlfriend, now wife, when you can see Kareem Hunt punch a girl in the face, when you can see Alvin Kamara them stomp a mud hole in a guy in the elevator and walk him dry. Yeah, it's kind of hard for you to say like, one thing isn't different from the other. Like that's just what it is, man. People when things happen, the first thing what happens is like when with Nick on deal. Shouts out to Nick. Shouts out to all the guys, Ross Jackson. When they start talking about things that happen in camp, what a catch by Chris Olave, got behind the defense. What's the first thing somebody say? Where the video at? Where the video at? So that has a lot to do with this situation because it's he said, she said when it comes to Deshaun Watson. Optics is basically what's going on here, right? It's about what it looks like. The more numbers go, the more the numbers go up, the better it looks, right? But it's hard for you to just say, it happened the way that it did. If this guy on one hand saying it didn't happen, she's saying that it did, there's really no other way, you can really find out, and now, versus Alvin Kamara stomping somebody out in the elevator. So I do think that is different. And I just think that when you are on videotape and things happen the way that it said it happened, you're basically at the mercy of the court and what they're willing to give you or how merciful they can possibly be. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different with that. I'll scroll down a little bit. I'm going to go to David. David says, honestly, if I'm a top back, coming to New Orleans might not be an option. They're just going to be a filler until AK gets back. How do you work two playmakers in the backfield along with Mark? Not ideal for a running back. That's a good point, David. That's a good point. But we've seen this before. And shouts out to Josh because he's been saying this for I don't know how long. We've seen 3 running back sets actually work. We've seen it work out there in Tampa. I'm not Tampa. Yeah, Tampa. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it work out there in Tampa. You know what I'm saying? With Jones, Fournette, and Bernard. We've seen it happen with San Francisco, right? You know what I'm saying? With Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman. You know what I'm saying? Like, we seen it work with Damian Williams and Kai Edwards-Helaire and, you know what I'm saying? Like, these other running backs that will come in, Le'Veon Bell. So 3 running back sets have worked in the past. It depends on how you play the position. How, you know what I'm saying? What type of offense are you trying to run? Here's the realization of it all, okay? And this is what people are not understanding. The Saints already had 3 running back sets, if you think about it. I had to think about this. You know what I'm saying? They had Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, and Taysom Hill, right? Then they had Latavius Murray, Alvin Kamara, and Taysom Hill, right? They had 3 running back sets, if you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like when they had like not 3 running back sets, but they used 3 running backs. If you think about it to that extent, 3 running back sets, I think that it has shown that it can work, right? I just think that the way the Saints were constructed under Sean Payton, the reason why it didn't work when Adrian Peterson was here is because the Saints didn't account for Alvin Kamara being as good as he was. Like, I just think that they were like, we got something here. We see him catching it. But they didn't expect that. They probably expected for him to like catch the ball off the backfield. Yeah, we got ourselves a little Sproles. We got ourselves a little Pierre Thomas. But when he started running in between the tackles on top of catching the ball out of the backfield, so you're getting this type of production, oh man, we got to make sure this dude don't leave the field. But there is a way that you can actually use 3 running backs with the Saints. And we've seen that it can be successful. But to answer your question, well, not to answer your question, but as far as your statement is concerned, you're probably not going to get a top-notch running back. You're not going to get like a Dalvin Cook or, like somebody like that. But you can get a guy who will be okay going into the system and being productive. And then on top of that, once again, you can bring a guy in like a Kareem Hunt. I'm just using him for example. I don't think it's going to happen. Never say never, but he is still playing for a contract. So if you can bring a guy in with some level of hunger, right? That's running with empty pockets, if you will, to go out here and be productive. Oh yes, he will. He will be understanding and he will make it work. So it all depends on who you bring in. Don't I ain't no you trying to bring in first team all pro, probably not going to work. But if you can get a guy that has shown that he is productive, he has the tendency of being productive, and he's looking for a payday. Yes, you know what I'm saying. Yes, you can. You know what I'm saying. Like make it work. You can make it work, but I understand how you feel about it. But there are ways around it. And honestly, if anything, with this whole offseason has taught us, who that nation, we just need to completely suspend our thoughts and our views and our opinions about this team, because it's not the same team we've seen over the years. In spite the fact that we feel that the New Orleans Saints have the same coaching staff for the most point, everybody kind of know everybody. They know their tendencies. They know who they are. I think this offseason has shown us that we just need to completely eliminate that out of our mind and just appreciate the ride, because I think a lot of people are thinking, because the Saints have Olave and they're going to have Thomas and they're going to have Landry, and then you got like Callaway and Hardy. They just think that the Saints going to be throwing the ball all over the place. I'm going to be honest, I have yet to see a defensive-minded coach throw the ball all over the place. A defensive-minded head coach throw the football all over the place. I've yet to see that. Like even Belichick, you know what I'm saying? Belichick for probably like 07, you know what I'm saying, when he had Randy Moss and stuff like that. Like who wouldn't? But for the most part, like they were running the ball in between the tackles. Tom was with the play action game, the five-step drop. You know what I'm saying? They weren't like bombs away. They were a balanced team, and they were one of those teams that won any way that needed to be won. If a team lacked in run defense, you're going to run the ball all over the place. If a team lacks in the passing game, then they're going to throw the ball all over the place. So I've yet to see like a defensive-minded coach not put emphasis on the run. I never seen it. Like go back to the days, Mike Dicker, you had Walter Payton. You look at Brian Billick, you know what I'm saying? Brian Billick, who he had? He had Jamal, what is that? Jamal, the guy from, who was that? Jamal Williams, not Jamal Williams, but y'all know what I'm talking about. The one that ran for 1,000 yards for the Ravens. You know what I'm saying? But when you have a defensive-minded coach, they have a tendency of putting emphasis on the running game. So I expect for the New Orleans Saints to have a balanced attack. Jamal Lewis, thank you, Jared. Jamal Lewis. Yeah, I couldn't think of his last name, but yeah, he ran for like 2,000 yards. So I've yet to see a head coach that put emphasis, you know what I'm saying, that doesn't put emphasis on the run. That's a defensive-minded coach. Offensive-minded, yeah, they're trying to air that thing out because they want to show everybody how smart and how offensively innovative they are. You really don't see that very often with a defensive-minded coach. I mean, you go back to Rex Ryan, you know what I'm saying, when the Jets was in the AFC Championship game. Yeah, they had Sanchez, but they was running that football. You know what I'm saying? They was running that rock. So I think that people think that, we got Olave, we got Thomas. I don't see that happening. I don't. I just think that people think that them boys gonna be throwing for 400 yards a game, every game. Nah, I don't see it. I don't see it. The Cincinnati Bengals punked us last year. I marked it down. We need to look at this team the way we did in 06. Yeah, I think so. I think that we just need to completely suspend our imaginations, because I just think that this team is going to be the exact same on all levels. And I just don't believe that. I just don't. I mean, I just think this might be for the better. Dak better work on winning playoff games. Look, man, I like Dak Prescott. I just don't think Mike McCartney is the answer. And to be honest with you, I think they're going to make the playoffs. And it's not because I feel like they are a better team. I just think that the NFC is not as good as far as a quarterback. And when you think about it, you got to put him as like one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFC, right? And there's 7 playoff spots. So, I mean, come on, man. Like, I don't think that Dak Prescott is as terrible as people make him out to be. I just think that you have to have a coach that is able to help you progress at the quarterback position, progress at the running back, wide receiver, offensive line. You got to be able to have a coaching staff to bring that out of you. And you should not push a guy to do things that you know that they're most likely not going to be able to do at that particular time. I think that the role of a really good coach is to take the plays that guys are good at and make an offensive scheme around that. And then as the guys start to progress, as the offense starts to mature, then you start adding different nuances to it. I just think that there's too much emphasis on him winning now, and justifiably deserved, by the way, okay? Because you're making a hell of a lot of money, and you're not making this type of money for us to be sitting at home in January. So I understand that there's a sense of urgency, but dang, can you at least put a coach around him that's going to be able to play to his strengths? Mike McCartney, to me, and I watched Mike McCartney for a long time. I mean, from the time he was with the Saints, right? Some of y'all know what I'm talking about here. Aaron Rodgers dropping into this dude's lap was a godsend, okay? It was almost like Jordan and Phil Jackson at times, right? Phil Jackson became a really good coach, but it took some Jordan days to help him get over that hump. I remember sometimes I used to watch WGN. That was the local Chicago station. And, you know, when you had cable, and I used to see Michael Jordan go off for 50, and it looked like Phil Jackson was halfway asleep on a bench. Like he was like, you know, with the Diet Coke about to drip out his hand. You know, like when you fall asleep, you're holding something in your hand, and then all of a sudden it's about to fall. Like that's what Phil Jackson was on. And then as the time went on, you started to see it. You start to see, you know, man, Phil know what he's doing out there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like that, right? I just think that Mike McCarthy was living off Aaron Rodgers and how talented Aaron Rodgers was with the arm strength. Dak Prescott has great upside, but I think it takes a coach for him to reel it in. And unfortunately, I feel like it's going to be Sean Payton to be the guy to do it. I mean, I'm just being serious, folks. I think that Sean Payton going to be the guy to help Dak Prescott reach his full potential. I don't want to see it. I know you ain't going to want to see it, but all roads at this particular time, I feel like going to lead to Dallas. Who knows? TJ, who was your most recent standout from minicamp last week? My most recent standout had to be Alontae Taylor. Alontae Taylor, to me, I think that the Saints looked at him as, man, we're going to try to push him on. We're not going to try to, you know, push him out there too fast. We're going to put him on special teams. But Alontae like, hell no. Nah. Okay, nah, you ain't putting me on special teams, but I like it. And he reminds me of a guy that, man, it's suffice that he went to this school, but he reminds me a lot of Eric Berry. His instinct, like Eric Berry wasn't a ball hawk to me, but he was so fundamentally sound. He was always where he needed to be. He's a solid player, and he was really, really good. Like, that's who that dude remind me of. Like, I went back and I watched his footage. His instincts, his ability to be around the ball, dude can jump out the gym, and his confidence in himself. Dude, if he plays his cards right, pin and injury, I'm gonna say the same. I'm saying this with the same type of emphasis and the same type of energy I had when CJ Gardner-Johnson, now known as CD Deuce, joined the New Orleans Saints. Right after that San Francisco game, on that 4th down, when George Kittle beat him on that out route, and he stood in front of that microphone, and he said, man, I'm a rookie. He said, it happens, man. I ain't worried about that. He said, yeah, they're going to catch me next time. I knew for a fact one day that dude was going to be one of the leaders on his team. I'm saying it right now. If Alontae Taylor stays healthy, he's going to be one of the leaders on the team. He's going to be one of them guys that we look at and going to have a C on his jersey one day. Seriously. Like, I have that much respect And I take away from I take away from minicamp that from Alontae Taylor. Seriously, I think that he's much better than even a Saints thought he was. Hey, what's going on? Appreciate you for being here. Still think we run the ball 58% of the time. That wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad. Because if you do that, then, you know, Jameis is one of the best play action quarterbacks, in the NFL. A lot of people may not see that. Geez, your job gave you the day off. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, they gave me a day off, man. Juneteenth. Yeah, I'm off Juneteenth. Most people are, man, like the post office and everything like that. Yeah, they off. So yeah, I was off today. I mean, I still had to record my show, but I didn't have to go to the radio station. So I mean, I have all the equipment, of course, obviously. Got all the equipment I need here at home. If let's just say, for example, if gas prices now being $3.4 million and I don't feel like driving 40 to 45 minutes, I can just get behind the mic and just record, So that's the advantage of having the equipment at home. Hopefully we hold Cincy under 23 points. The next time we play, we got to figure out a way to stop. Yeah, I mean, look, I think y'all figure it out, man. Baltimore, one of the best teams in the league. TJ, I don't think Sean Payton is adept enough at kissing butt to be Dallas. I don't think so, man. I think that he has a strong relationship, Barbara, with the Cowboys organization. So much so that before he ended up coming to the Saints, he had an interview with Al Davis and the Raiders, and he asked Jerry Jones for his advice. Like, should I go and do this interview? So I think, look, he has a home. I don't know if he still does or not, but he had a home in Dallas. Really, he coached under Parcells in Dallas. And we all know Sean Payton. He's always looking for a challenge. And I think that Sean Payton, wants to coach again. The only thing about it is, will he do it next year? Right? If he does it next year, then I feel like the Cowboys, unless like Cowboys just go on this magical run, Mike McCarthy gonna end up getting fired. Right? They're already calling for his head. Miami, I think that's out of the equation, unless Mike McDaniel was just a scapegoat. Just a guy that's there, like how Greg Roman was once Jim Harbaugh left the 49ers. Something like that. They took the offensive line coach and made him the head coach, which was a recipe for disaster. So unfortunately, this might be the case. But he respects the Cowboy organization. I mean, in a lot of ways, he feel like that's what really got him to being the next head coach. I remember Eric Berry. Yeah, man. Shouts out to Eric Berry, man. Was a really good player. Man, really good talent. Unfortunately, he had like a little stint with cancer. He was in remission, as far as I know, he's still, in remission. But yeah, I think it really took a toll on him. He came back after, the stint, but I just think that may have been something that teams were looking at and reason why he didn't get back into the league. I agree with you, Barbara. I love you, Cosmic Family. Alontae physical metrics is amazing, man. Just needs to refine and hip movement. But, man, I think we got a gym. Yeah, Mike. I mean, look, we never know what happens when guys hit the field. You don't know until the pass come on. Like, we see guys make these one-handed snags, but then they're in sweatpants and shorts. Like, I'm not impressed, man. I'm just not. Like, all these dudes making plays and stuff like that, man. I think dude was named Merritt. You know what I'm saying? He out there making plays. That's all fine and dandy, man. But look, man, I think we all seen some all-stars play flag football. I'm just being serious. Like, we seen them, right? We seen some dudes out there look like they some bona fide dogs. You put some helmets and some pads on these boys, he looking like puppies. I need to see it for real, right? I mean, Brandon Coleman, the Emmanuel Butlers of the world kind of just completely just turned me off from looking at guys and like, oh man, look at that catch. Oh man, he making plays. Like put a helmet on, put some pads on, and let's see what you're talking about then. Okay, and also most importantly, let's see what you're talking about, not against other rookies that's probably most likely going to be working at 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness, being a fitness guru, starting their own YouTube channel for health and wellness. Do it against some of these guys that's going to be here, be a part of the 53-man roster. I'm just not impressed. I want to see guys make it. The stories are great. Shouts out to the media putting these guys on the forefront, but I got to see it for real. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that go on during OTAs and minicamp. I need to see who really out there playing. So he looks really good now, but let's see what he can do when the pads come on. What type of player is he really? But as far as that, I'm just impressed, with that. Let's see. The media hates Winston, which is sad because the young man changed his life and became a model citizen. Meanwhile, how Wentz keeps getting shots after shots with his locker room cancer and poor play. Look, here's the thing. The media likes train wrecks. Look, if you haven't found that out already, I just encourage you just to kind of just take a look back, take a step back, and just analyze it. I prime myself not to be that way. I prime myself not to be that way. I think you got too many talking heads out here that are just looking for a click and a like and somebody to retweet their stuff and try to be like, oh man, I can't believe what he said. Look what he just said. It's too much of that going on. So, Professor, to answer your question, they don't want to find out what he can do. They want him to fail. They want Carson Wentz to fail. They want Marcus Mariota to fail. They love watching guys who are supposed to be the so-called can't miss prospect just fall into like just the waste of oblivion. That's just what it is. Like the media likes to pick you up to tear you down. Not all of them, but you have I don't want to say a majority, but you got a nice size. You got a nice little size of media guys and talking heads out here. That is their only agenda. And they don't care. All they care about is what the sponsors think about them and how many clicks that they have and all that kind of stuff to elevate themselves. And if you notice, there's this second wave of minions out here who probably start YouTube channels or podcasts, and they feel like that's how people are going to stand out, right? So talking about guys like Wentz, talk about guys like Winston, that's not a surprise to me. If Trevor Lawrence comes out here this season and plays mediocre, I expect for him to be on the chopping block next. It's just what they do, man. They pick you up to tear you down. I mean, look at throughout history. People ask like, why is it that people just love Tom Brady so much? It's not so much about the winning. It's about where he came from. It's a great rags to riches story, right? A 6th round, 199th pick, who everybody's seen that classic picture of him in the combine with those boxes on. Looked like he ain't have no muscles whatsoever. And this guy turned into a 7-time Super Bowl champion, beautiful superstar, superstar model wife. You know what I'm saying? Like playing in Boston, winning championship left and right. You know what I'm saying? Good looking guy. I mean, it's a great story. It's just what it is, man. So look at Jameis Winston, 1st overall pick, Heisman Trophy winner, college football national champion, even played baseball in college, right? Goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, didn't pan out. Oh man, he was supposed to be the can't miss prospect. Oh, he was supposed to be the number 1 pick. Carson Wentz, the 2nd overall pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. Basically gave up everything they possibly can to try to acquire Wentz out of North Dakota State, right? Started off pretty doggone good until he tore his ACL, his LCL, his MCL, his NAACP, his FBI, his CIA, and everything else he had in his league, right? And now, you know what I'm saying? Like he just can't make it work. Now, you go and not to mention, he played in Philly, who are basically the sharks of all sharks when it comes to media coverage. I mean, they don't care, right? They do not care. It is a dog eat dog world out in Philly when it comes to the media, right? So if they feel like there's any type of smoke, I mean, If any crevice of smoke is coming from the cracks of those doors, they're trying to kick that thing down to see if there's a fire in that thing. And if there's not, then they're going to be like, well, if there is no fire, then where's the smoke? That's just the world we live in, folks. But for all my podcasters out there, that people that's thinking about starting podcasts, people that maybe starting podcasts, just getting your foot off the ground, be your freaking self. Be your freaking self. Turn off these talking heads. Don't try to be First Take. Don't try to be Undisputed. Don't try to be Doug Gottlieb. Don't try to be McIntyre. Don't try to be these guys. Don't try to be Nick Wright. If that's your natural personality, then fine. But be yourself. Right? It's not always about the marathon. You know what I'm saying? Or the sprint. It's about the marathon, right? You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. The marathon, right? Sometimes it's not going to happen overnight, but never sell yourself short for a check, right? You know what I'm saying? Like what they say, what that old saying, if you fish for, you know what I'm saying, you teach somebody how to fish, you know what I'm saying, they could eat for a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? But, come on, man. If you teach somebody, right, you eat for a lifetime. If you do the little things in order for you to be successful, if you be unapologetically you can make it. But don't let these other talking heads out here, man, cloud your judgment and make you something that you're not. And like I said, Professor, I know that's a little bit of a long-winded response, but it's just the truth, man. People like to see train wrecks. People get behind a mic and watch a guy score 30-some points, 40-some points. Like you had people out here really seriously saying, is Steph Curry the finals MVP? After him just scoring one game of 16 points. Dude scored 43 before that, 31 before that. Like, are you kidding me? Like that's what they do. But that's just the way it works, man. TJ, where do you find the Kamara fight footage? I don't know. I think it's been taken down, man. There was a short time where they had like one outlet that showed it, but I want to say maybe the employee that actually linked that, I don't know, it ended up getting in trouble, but it was up for a short period of time. And that's so true, my dude. These heads want y'all to think Sean got some big plan. Sean gonna do what makes the most money, and that's TV. Yeah, I mean, look, there's always different scenarios, and some of these guys know, you know what I'm saying, they probably got like some type of leak or something like that, some, behind the scenes information, but a lot of these guys are just talking, and it is all about entertainment. That's just what it is at the end of the day. And if you think about it, man, like not all of them, but some of the softest individuals I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, think about this, okay? If you haven't been following this, and I encourage you to do so, okay, so Stephen A. Smith goes on JJ Redick's podcast. He goes on JJ Redick podcast, and he talks about how he got started doing First Take. He said, I'm paraphrasing here, but he says that Skip Bayless comes to him in a parking lot and basically begs him to be his co-host because they needed a shot in the arm, so to speak, with the ratings. That's what he said, right? So Skip Bayless goes on his own podcast and basically writes out this long monologue about how what Stephen A. Smith said wasn't true and how hurt he was by the situation and this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking to myself, now these two dudes right here made a living talking about dudes are bums, clowns, they can't play, all these different things right here. But all of a sudden, how are these two dudes in their feelings? Y'all make a career out of talking about dudes, making everybody believe that because a guy has a bad game, he's a bum. But these are the people that we're listening to for the go-to people we're listening to for advice. Like, that's why I'm telling people, it works for them. It works because they created a lane for themselves. But just because they did that don't mean that's your lane. But like I said, there is a new wave of people out here, talking heads, podcasts that feel like that is the way that you're supposed to make it, by disrespecting and downing players every single day. Like, if a player didn't play well, I'm gonna say it. I'll say it, but I ain't about to sit up here and just be like, just bash player after player because I feel like it will get me more, more attention. It's not the right way to go. Like, what kind of stuff is that, man? Like, how you sit up there and cry and whine and boo-hoo? Like, when guys like start questioning your credentials. Like that time Jalen Rose questioned Stephen A. Smith credentials and said that he averaged 1.4 points a game. And then during a commercial break, he up there talking about, we gonna talk about this. Basically cut the whole segment so they can have a little debate about who he is as a player because his feelings were hurt. Because all that talking he did, I'm saying, that people, he got called on it. So you can call everybody else on this stuff, but I gotta save my credibility. So don't tell me what I am, although let everybody else know. Because it might not give me credibility, but you're trying to destroy somebody else's credibility. Somebody help me make that make sense to me. The collective dictator is the alliance of the royal families with the Rockefeller, Rothschilds, and others. Their goal is coming of the Antichrist and the prevention of the second coming of Jesus. Look, I'm familiar with the Rothschilds. I'm familiar with the Rockefellers. They were very instrumental with a lot of the things that happened, especially during the time up the 1800s, right after the Reconstruction, buying up railroads and stuff like that, buying up most of the majority of the things, the infrastructures that made America America. And a lot of people feel like, they dictate a lot of things. I mean, whatever side of the fence you sit on, I ain't really, on that. But I definitely understand, and I encourage everybody, I'm a little bit of a history buff, to check out the story of those families because, they're very powerful people and they were billionaires in the 1800s. So imagine, imagine how much money they got here today. They ancestors, well, yeah, they're descendants. They're descendants. Imagine how much money they got. But yeah, if you got money, you can dictate some things. Power. TJ, looking back at the draft now after all the OTAs and minicamp, do you think Alontae Taylor was a reach in the second round of the draft, or is he looking like a legit second round pick? Yeah, he's looking like a legit second round pick. I'm gonna read a few more and then I'm gonna get up out of here. Says Stephen A makes me sick except when he drags the Cowboys. Yeah, I mean, look, that's his bread. That's his bread and butter right there. But to me, just a parody, Like I don't take that guy serious at all. I just think that he's a character that he plays on TV. I mean, a successful character. I mean, what he making $28 million over 4 years. So he loud, he brash and all that stuff, but he didn't talk his way into $28 million. I mean, look, if that's what you do, that's what you do. But me, if I'm gonna make it and I'm gonna make money and I'm gonna be successful, then I'm gonna do it my way. He will never get the full 50 million. Oh no, we talking. I'm pretty sure we talking about Taysom Hill with that one. Definitely way Stephen A. Aardvark only average 1 point a game. I can score that. No, not Stephen A. I'm talking about Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless did. That's the footage that's still going around. It's Jalen Rose and Stephen A. Smith. Like, that's still a story that went around. But it's just amazing to me, like how when these guys get called out on national TV, like the show goes in a completely different direction. Like they get all in their feelings. These dudes made a career out of talking and downing folk. Like, how? Like, you cannot wear your heart on your sleeve when you talking that grimy and greasy about nobody. Like, seriously, you can't. This is Charles, man. What about Kenyan Drake to the Saints or Hubbard from Panthers for backup? Yeah, I think Kenyan Drake will probably be the best fit because he kind of fits the same mold as Alvin Kamara, and I think he's talented, man. He just needs that opportunity. I guess you the man for the day. Maybe the Saints beating the Ravens will shut you up. Oh man. Well, Drew's always here, man. He's a Raven fan, but he supports the show, man. So I appreciate that. They deflect on the slick. Yeah, of course. You know, I don't know, man. Sometimes I wish that I didn't go to school for communication and take, phonetics and what I'm saying, and all these other classes that they made us take because if you're a communication major, like you're a borderline, you like a spinoff of a psychology major because all of the classes teach you, about conversation and how conversation can, you know, elevate you. It can manipulate people, all these different things. So here's another example. The NBA Finals just happened, right? Golden State Warriors win the championship. Um, on Get Up, they show like old segments of guys, talking heads, talking about the Golden State Warriors, right? Talking about how many championships they're gonna win. Now that Kevin Durant gone, they ain't gonna win none, right? All that kind of stuff. So finally, you talked all that stuff about Golden State. It was time, in the words of the late great Malcolm X, the chickens coming home to roost, right? Because the Golden State Warriors won a championship. These guys got behind the mic and said, man, y'all about to eat some crow. Y'all about to eat some crow. The Memphis Grizzlies, like the player for the Grizzlies talking noise, talking about when they beat up the Golden State Warriors by 20 plus. All of a sudden, like Klay Thompson, went behind the mic, is like, man, look at him talking or whatever like that. Man, he's a bum. And then, Steph Curry put up the zero sign, when it comes to Kendrick Perkins. So what did they do? Did they want to eat crow? No. So you had guys like Mike Greenberg, who I absolutely respect, says, I can't believe these guys are actually watching this stuff. I can't believe they're watching us. You would think that they didn't care. Like, seriously. So let me get this straight. So you basically just told the entire world, excuse my French, that you're talking out your ass, right? We're just saying a whole bunch of nonsensical stuff. We're throwing something against the wall and we're hoping that it sticks. And if it just so happened not to stick, you shouldn't say anything to us because our opinions don't matter. What kind of, then why are we watching your show? You get what I'm saying? Like, what sense does that make? Like, you can't, if you're going to make a bold prediction, it's called a bold prediction. Keyword bold. Okay? Yeah, it's a big prediction. You know what I'm saying? It's a main focus prediction. So if you're wrong, own up to it. Don't feel bad about it and all that kind of stuff and backtrack and moonwalk like Michael Jackson at the 25th Motown anniversary. Own up to your stuff. And I just feel like that's what it lacks because it's all about reputation. It's all about reputation. Go back and take a look at someone these guys got wrong. Go look and see how hard it is to find when these guys give hot takes about things that did not happen. Go back and try to find it because what they do is, because they know that it's all about reputation, they take their footage off there. They have their interns burning the midnight oil, taking and scrubbing the internet clean of their bad takes. You might find a few, but you're not going to find many because it's all about presentation, right? The way that you carry yourself, the way that you say these things, having the courage of your conviction. Well, not in this case, but seriously, like how can you sit up here when you get something wrong and say, look, why are you listening to me? That's a good question. Why are we listening to you? It's the question. All right, and Jared said, this man said Pelicans need to be relocated when they losing. I said they need to relocate. Hey, man, look, Kendrick Perkins is another one of them. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick Perkins is trying to keep some money in his pocket. And I can respect that. But, I just feel bad for the people that can't decipher what's real and what's not or do the research. They take these guys' word as gospel, but they're not realizing there's no difference between anybody in the chat right now or what I'm doing right now. Just giving my opinion on topics, questions, or comments that you all are making. I don't understand it. Sometimes, I just wish that I didn't understand it because it just frustrated me because I just think that it's so disingenuous. I think these guys love sports. I think they're passionate about the game, but they're also on television, and television is about being entertaining. So I don't know. I think this show is pretty entertaining. I ain't got to be sit up here making hot take after hot take, calling everybody a bum. or some of the other podcast shows I've seen. You don't have to do that, right? Just be yourself, right? If you ain't rolling with Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints, you're nothing. And that comes from Jerry Lewis, not Jerry Lee Lewis, okay? Not Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, but Jerry Lewis. All right, so I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it, man. I'm glad to be back, man. It's been a couple of days since I actually did a podcast. This past weekend, of course, it was Father's Day weekend. Spent a little time with the family. I had to spend some time, man. My wife actually is on a girls trip, man. She takes a yearly girls trip with her friends, and they're going to Morocco, man. So shouts out to her. I had to be up early this morning to drop off at the airport. Miss my wife, man. So I had to spend some time with her, spend some time with my son. The greatest thing in the world is being a father. Like, I love doing this podcast, but I give all this up, man, for my son, my family. They're the most important things to me. And shouts out to all the dads out there that go hard for their kids every single day. Shouts out to the father figures out there. You may not have kids, but you might, stand, be there for your nephew, your cousin, you know what I'm saying, your little brother, your older brother, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes they can be a little bit hard to deal with, the kids in the community. Shouts out to you, man. And there are some dads out here, man, that's not doing what they're supposed to do. Shame on you. And to call you out. I don't need to say no names. You know who you are. I mean, I don't know no names, but you know who you are. All I can say is, man, I being a part of your child's life is so gratifying, man, and it's important. And you teach them lessons, rather, how to treat a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like how to be an upstanding citizen in society. It's certain things to me, and no disrespect to any women, but it's certain things I just feel like a man has to teach his son or even his daughter. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, because to me, a good father, a daughter's first love is her dad. And I don't think it's a coincidence. When they go out here, they try to find somebody kind of similar to that, or a son tries to carry himself like his dad. Right. So all the dads out here going hard for their kids, putting their kids number one, putting their families number one. Hope you had a great Father's Day. And shouts out to everybody, celebrating Juneteenth too. Juneteenth isn't just for the black community, you know what I'm saying? It's for everybody, even though people try to pretend it's not. And I know, you know what I'm saying, we're towards the end of the show, so it is what it is. I don't see the big problem with it, but Juneteenth is very important, very significant to American history, whether people want to accept it or not. And also, my question to people that may have some issues with Juneteenth, on March 17th, you go out in the middle of the street wearing green with 4-leaf clovers, and you walk the street and you drink some of your favorite ale or some of your favorite alcohol, and you celebrate St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is something that was celebrated in Ireland. As a matter of fact, St. Patrick, I don't even think hit American soil, but you have no problem with that. Then in May, you go to Cinco de Mayo and you go to your favorite Mexican restaurant and you put on a sombrero, all the stereotypical things that you would actually see, and there's no problem. So my question is, and even with Cinco de Mayo, that's Mexican Independence Day, which took place in Mexico. When it comes to Juneteenth, this was something that happened in America. So my question is, why the hell can't you celebrate that? Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints Podcast, facebook.com, search The State of the Saints Podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. And also, man, shouts out to everybody in the chat. If I offended you with something that I said today, oh well, but I appreciate you being here. All right, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?